on messages?
Nah, she opened the snap that I sent to you of her. And then she saved it so you can save it.
I said over there.
No, sit here.
That's nice.
Stop taking up your phone. Sorry.
Nice little pencil there.
It's actually not lunchtime.
So that is there. Jody will arrive with my coffee. Oh, he's coming with cool. Excellent. That's good. Your coffee boy is on the job. Yeah.
That's what half the things for. People getting coffee.
Sure, we
There's all these student memories.
He's just got the cut. Yeah, that's right. I understand that. But I'm not going to start ish then while we're waiting for JD to arrive. Get yourself comfortable around your chairs. Do sit there for a while. So a couple of quick introductions. So, some introductions for you guys who don't know. This is Hayley. Hayley is going to be producing our little extravaganza for us. Hayley's second year / third year. She's like you, she's the same as you, second / third year. Third year. Screen student here at Flint. And she's basically going to be in charge of keeping me on track and organising all our crew and organising you guys as well. So when you get to the point of getting call sheets and things, I'll all have Hayley's name on it and I'll have Hayley's phone number on it as well. And then we'll also get to a point where you guys will meet the rest of the crew and then we'll meet the first AD, who's a guy called Manny. Some of you may know Manny, I think may not, depending on how much stuff you've done with the screen guys. And he will actually then become your first point of call. His number will be first and foremost on all call sheets, and he's the one you ring if you have a problem, like you're not going to be somewhere. And then over here, some of you may be familiar with Kevin Smith, some of his work, including Chasing Amy, and unfortunately, he's still not returning my calls.
Yeah. He wasn't.
He's not.
As a result.
So instead of Kevin Smith, we have Mark Knight. Mark, and I go way back to when we were your age and we were here as first year screen students 100 million years ago. Mark has had a long stellar career in the industry in South Australia, worked for about 15 years as a first AD, did that little show with the horses called The Cloud's Daughters for a long time. Now works as a script consultant and also sits on the board of numerous industry bodies. Lots, all of them.
And all the bodies are very
So he's a useful person to know because if he doesn't know who they are in South Australia in the film business, then we're talking to the wrong person. And he has been kind enough to co-write this little show here, so much that I even gave him credit for it.
So if you have any questions about any of the lines that are bad, they're the ones Cameron wrote.
That's my gag, if you can't understand, he wrote.
Between the two of us, we have no idea what's going on.
So I'll just quickly explain what today is about. What is today about? Today is just the table read, and this is really just about hearing the script for the first time. I've not actually read it from front to back properly. Not in its current form because of the writing process. Mark and I have written bits and then we've tweaked bits and it's gone backwards and forwards, and it's actually been a while since I read it from front cover to cover. And I'm sure Mark's actually the same. In fact, I know he is because when I went to print these out, I found a huge typo on the pages and went, neither of us clearly read that page because it's a bit going backwards and forwards. So this is really a chance for everyone just to hear it, okay? Just to give it some life and find out where it sits. At the moment, it's a work in progress, okay? The scripts you've got are a work in progress to take so that you guys can take something home over the break so that you can start doing prep stuff, you know what's coming, you know character you're probably going to be in and where it fits in the world. Okay, to give you guys an idea of the world. What will happen is these won't be the shooting scripts that we'll shoot from, we'll tweak it as we go along. It's one of the reasons Mark is here today, so as we go along and we hear you guys talking and start putting your own voices and stuff, then we can start making some tweaks to it.
Yeah.
It's just no way is this locked off at this point because and it won't be. And part of this process is he'll kill me and so check your is that you are allowed to have your own input into this. Don't tell the writer. But yeah, part of this process is that it is going to require you to bring stuff to it, okay, and make sense of some of the lines and stuff as we go along. And being that it is kind of sci-fi world, there are some weird words and stuff in there. How do you pronounce them? We don't know. Okay, we just
Nice.
okay.
We'll tell
There will be stuff that you get to when you're reading and go, what the hell's that? You can't go and research it, it doesn't exist. It's something that was made up.
So all of mine were real, I have Google.
But you know what I mean, so there'll be stuff, and part of that is just to bring, you know, your characters to it, really. And because this is Drama Centre, and this is an exercise as much for you guys as it is for me, part of the process of this will be to give it some life from what you do through the process, okay?
Yeah.
That's a big part of this. So today, like I said, we'll just get it up, we'll read it, hear it, so you find all the clunky bits, and there are bound to be a few, that's why I've got the red pen. Go through, there'll be typos and grammatical stuff littered throughout this version of the script, because literally we just finished it up last week and you got it ready so you guys can take something with you without having to call you back later. Today we have a casting for the table read. This is kind of a preliminary casting for the piece. It was written for you guys, so I have thought about each of you as I've been writing, and that is reflected in the characters. However,
He is now.
part of the casting process for this is, okay, it was hard. So brief for me was to try to write something for all of you guys, okay? So I'm going to lay down the dirt. It's impossible to write a piece of like this with 11 lead characters. You just can't do it, okay? There's no way in the world that will ever travel. So
you can, but we know how it turns out.
yeah.
I've got one in my
Yeah,
office.
it's
And
Still there, still in your office.
it'll never see the light of day.
So like all things, it ended up having characters that drive more than other characters. Okay, that was just the way it was. I didn't set out in with who those characters were in mind, particularly certainly not in terms of which actors that was. I basically wrote from character and not from particularly actors when I was writing it, and how I needed people to influence it, and that's basically how Richard did it. Okay, Richard's in it because I needed someone.
Yeah.
I needed an old guy.
I needed an old guy.
No, not with most of it. I don't remember.
Basically.
I've seen some.
What?
Anyway.
You're fine. But what it means is that obviously the script took on its own balance, okay? So there are people with less than others, and there are people with more than others. This is the same as everything else that gets cast in Drama Centre, okay? There is big stuff and little stuff, okay? But there is something for everyone, okay? There is absolutely 100% something for everyone and something nice for everybody. And part of also the whole casting process with this and running process was working in conjunction with the other demands of Drama Centre, which is that Nadia has also got a project going on in First Block next year. So I was asked quite early to see if I could accommodate her with not using up all of you at once. So that's what I've done. So as the less you have in this, the more you have with Nadia, is basically the balance. Okay? So the idea is that you will all still be on this, but you will also work with Nadia whenever you can.
Wait, all of us will still work with Nadia?
Not all of you.
Nah.
She'll take a certain amount.
You've got 4, haven't you?
That's why she's here today, is to work out exactly who she wants as well. So it's a double casting kind of thing. So like I said, we'll read today, and then we'll go away. I'll have a chat with Mark, and I'll have a chat with Richard, Nadia about the casting and the availability of people. And then what I'll do is I'll email you out the final casting over the next couple of weeks. So you'll definitely have it before you go away. Well, you'll have it before the new year.
Sorry, that's
Yes, it's a truth.
no, sweeten that.
I ain't having this week.
Good. For those of you who don't know, the man in the hat, that's JD. JD is Richard's son. He is also currently slated as our VFX supervisor. And general crew handy person who helped me build some sets and stuff. So we'll see a bit of JD around the place. So yeah, as I say, so casting, I'll do a final casting after this read and in consultation with other people. And then I'll email you that out, and then you'll all have that before you get back. Okay. With that, have you got today's casting?
How much before we get back?
Like literally next week.
Couple of days.
Oh, we got a couple of days to read.
Literally loads of time. So it'll be the next 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Then we'll change it.
Yeah.
Then when you break your leg over the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, pass these around. Take one, pass one on. It has a character and your name. Professor.
I can remember that, somebody else.
Is there anyone?
Yolanda, be cool, babe. Be cool, babe. Time is chill. I hope you can get the door out. Just get ready for a whole lot of Pulp Fiction jokes coming your way.
Because I'm nice and I love you all.
Yeah!
Good stuff, good stuff.
I'm
happy with this.
Really nice.
Plus we have to watch our waistline if we're going to be okay.
Really nice to be written.
Yes. So the possible money hasn't quite reached my bank account yet. Right, you can now take script and pass them down.
Has everyone got one of these?
How many?
Everyone's
How
got
many
one?
scripts?
There should be enough for one each. JD doesn't need one each.
Yeah, I've already got one.
Nadia doesn't have one. Has
Two, one.
everyone got one?
That's my bad.
Yeah.
Sitting with them.
You're good?
Right. Should be exactly right. Actually. Once again, that's good.
Yes.
Good. No, there was a couple
Yeah,
of
who's that?
other people that know also.
Really bad guys.
Yeah, you will find on page 19 there is an addendum to your script already. You should all have a little piece of sticky tape on the top of page 19.
Yep.
Good. I did.
Page 19.
Yeah. Good. You can't read what's underneath it. It says it was going good. Good. Except in yours, JD, you still will have to read it.
No, we fixed mine.
So, the way that the table reading will work is that Hayley will read in all of the stage directions and sound effects and any other notations like that. And then if you guys jump in as your cast person as you get there, it will be a little complex for Jeff because you are 2 people.
It is sci-fi though. So.
You are reading anything that says Amy and anything that says Jenny.
They exist in a
Wait,
parallel.
no.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So when Amy's speaking to Jenny, she's talking to her body double. Yet to be cast, probably. Well, because I haven't cast everyone yet, but once. So one of you will have to play the body double.
I've got curly hair.
Yeah, not. No, so we'll actually do a physical body double. Yeah, well, that's we'll do that as well.
Generally with everyone at some point.
So basically what will happen is Hayden will just read up to where it says character name, and then it's up to you to jump in at that point if you can. The way I want to do this, if you can, is we'll read, the script is currently in 3 parts. You'll find when you get to it, there's a little thing that says end of part 1, end of part 2, and end of part 3. What we'll do is we'll read up to end of part 1 first, and then we'll take a little break, maybe a break, another break, whatever, then we'll get going again, hit part 2 and then part 3. Then after that, it's time for feedback, any questions you have. At that point, we're really just looking for questions about the script, as in bits you don't understand or bits that don't make sense or stuff like that, not so much character specific or anything like that, and then we'll do general questions.
Can we write on this?
You can write on those, that's why you have got to scribble away, make whatever notes you need to make. Yes, go ahead.
One thing with the script, basically, because it's a sci-fi script and there are multiple characters, and you will occasionally be playing 2 versions of yourself and things like that. Some of the characters are basically the same name, different versions and different iterations. There's multiple timelines, multiple parallel universes, all Yeah, okay, so at some points you may be reading and going, is that this one, or is it that one and that, and it actually plays on that. So, eventually, once we've sort of gotten around to doing it, we're going to track each character by who and what they are. So it will become easy. But if it seems a bit odd and a bit confused, sort of just, in essence, go with the page at the moment, and you can sort of explain any vagaries going on. But it may get a little weird, because it was getting weird when we were writing.
That's very right. But so yeah, so like I said, save whatever questions you have, cool, and just make a little note for yourself. That was weird. Why did the main character disappear on that page or whatever? And I thought they said they were going to the toilet, they don't come back or whatever, and then we'll fix that. Mind you, someone may go to the toilet. Yeah. Okay, so is everybody happy to go through? Everybody's adequate before that. Let's do it. Identify where their names will come up and things.
Yeah.
Cool. Over to you.
I don't know if you can hear me. Tell me if I'm speaking too quietly.
Okay, fine, I can hear you.
Alright, good.
Yes.
Okay. Internal hallway, suburban house at night. An unremarkable hallway, suburban house. No pictures, no decorations. The kind of empty or only found in a student share house. Light spills from under a couple of the doors, and a solitary fixture lights the hallway. Sounds of a television playing a low-level off-screen. The light begins to flicker as miniature lightning streaks and sparks form an expanding disc. A long black-clad leg pokes through the hole. A figure follows, dressed from head to toe in a black bodysuit. A military-style harness, a black helmet, and a face mask cover their face. The figure stands, checks her surroundings, then as she presses a button on her harness, the portal behind her disappears.
Okay, quick tip there.
The figure begins to move along the hallway in the direction of the hole, where the hole just was, towards the door from which no light emerges. Trying the handle and finding it unlocked, the figure opens the door and steps through. Internal, University Physics Lab, 9. A University Physics laboratory, complex scientific equipment fills the room. There is a workbench, come desk space, which is covered in scientific textbooks and a laptop. Behind the bench on the wall is a whiteboard covered in complex equations, and in one corner of the whiteboard is a crimply drawn box. Inside the box, written in caps, is to-do list. Under that is written grant submission due Friday, Tuesday night, awards dinner for Jenny. A young man in his mid-20s to late 20s, his hair disheveled and in clothes that look as if he's slept in them, is scribbling furiously in a journal at the bench. A computer begins to beep loudly. The young man leans close to look at the screen, tapping the keyboard to silence the beeping. He peers at the screen, then suddenly snaps up out of his chair. Peter,
What? No, you. Yeah. What?
No.
before you can finish the sentence, there is a knock at the door, and the young man looks up as an older man pokes his head through, round the corner.
Go home, Peter. He says it's late. Is it I say it's late? Peter, it's late.
The finding points.
Peter looks towards the professor, a puzzled look upon his face. The professor notices the look.
Is everything okay, Peter?
The computer just detected a power spike. Now I have to run a whole test again, and if I don't get it done and written up by the end of the week, I will miss the grant deadline.
Power spike was probably just caused by the crappy old wiring in the building. It's even older than I am.
Peter smiles. Professor shakes his head at Peter, smiles and nods. Peter turns back to his computers, a determined look on his face. Internal, bedroom 9. The morph-suited figure stands silently inside the door of the room, getting her bearings. The room, although dark except for light spilling in from the window, allows her to make out what appears to be the form of a young female asleep in the bed. Making her way to the edge of the bed, the figure looks down to reveal an attractive dark-haired girl sleeping peacefully. Reaching behind her back to her belt, the morph figure leans in close to the sleeping girl. She brushes back the hair of the sleeping girl and places a small syringe-like object below the sleeping girl's ear. Internal physics lab 9. Peter is pouring out pages of printouts as he alternates between checking pages of information and graphs with the information on his computer and books.
That doesn't make any sense.
He flips back through some printouts furiously, looking for a particular graph. Finding it, he looks it over and then copies some of the data into his computer and hits enter. Close on the computer. The screen flashes, analyzing data repeatedly. Back to scene.
Come on.
Close on computer. The graphic disappears and is replaced with a graphic with 2 lines on it. The 2 lines move towards each other and merge as one. A new graphic flashes over the top of the lines, 100% match. Back to scene.
Yes.
Peter reaches for his desk phone. He begins to dial and looks up at the clock and stops. He suddenly notices the time.
Shit.
He turns back to one of his computers, opening up an email program and begins to compose a new email. Close on the computer. Hey, Prof. Just made the most amazing discovery. You won't believe what that anomaly was. Can't wait to see what you think. Peter, back to scene. Peter hits send, and then sits back in his chair, looking pleased. Staring at his computer, he realizes he has an unread email in the box. Close on the computer. Clicking on it, he opens it. Hey hon, don't forget, we need to sort out plans for tomorrow night. I just found out what time the awards finish. Call me before you leave the lab and I will fill you in. Love, Jenny. Back to scene.
Fucking hell.
Peter grabs for his mobile and begins furiously typing a text message. Internal bedroom 9. The morph-suited figure is the last motion.
In the last one. Sorry.
That's alright. Gently placing the sleeping girl on the floor next to the bed. Sound of the mobile phone receiving a text. Close the mobile phone on bedside table. So sorry, something crazy happened in the lab. Let me know what time you want to meet tomorrow night. Peter, back to scene. Ignoring the phone, the morph-suited figure stands up and removes her headgear and glasses, shaking out her long black hair. Slowly she climbs into the bed, taking the other girl's place. As the camera moves into an overhead shot of her, she smiles to herself.
Good night, Jenny.
The camera continues to pull back. You notice that both girls appear to be the same person. Internal physics lab day. Peter is slumped over his books and computers at his desk. He is snoring softly. The professor enters and finds him sleeping at his desk. He moves over to stand by Peter's side.
Peter, wake up.
The professor begins to shake Peter by the shoulders.
Wake up, Peter. You said something important to tell me.
Peter begins to stir, but does not wake. The professor looks at his computer. Close on computer. Screen flashes. Test complete. Repeatedly. Back to scene. The professor moves around Peter so he can access the keyboard. The professor hits enter on the keyboard. A stream of data is reflected in the professor's glasses. It finishes with the graph.
Oh, God, clever boy.
The professor restarts the test and moves away from the desk and out into the hall. Internal physics lab hallway, 9. A long academic hallway, labs and offices spill off a central corridor. The walls have pinboards with posters advertising cars for sale and rooms to let, whilst other places along the corridor there are posters with various scientific images and information. Leaving the door open to still able to keep an eye on Peter, he takes a black and grey object out of his coat. Activating a button on the side of it, he holds it much like a mobile phone. He begins to speak.
We have a problem.
He listens before speaking again.
Yes, I agree. Let me see what he knows. Yes, he can be contained.
The professor shuts down the device and returns to his pocket. He turns, looking at Peter around a long bit.